I didn't come from money. I am a W-2 employee. I didn't start my own business. I'm not a self-made entrepreneur. I'm a guy who just followed a simple plan and believes that anyone can become a millionaire in America today. The other one we found is delayed gratification.
For that first one, why do you think people feel the need to spend more than they actually make?
I think at the root of it, it's discontentment. We're not content with what we have. It's never enough. And thanks to debt, you're able to do that. Like before debt existed, you couldn't spend more than you made. It was physically impossible.
Right.
And all of a sudden with the advent of debt, and I talk about the history of each piece of the puzzle here. Like, where did credit cards come from? Where did auto loans originate? What about student loans? How did this all happen? And most of it was good intentions that turned into huge profits for companies and corporations going like, we can screw a lot of people over and make a lot of money from interest if we convince them they need that newer car. And look at colleges. What do? They raise prices because you can get as much student loans as you want. Sally Mae's happy to give you the monopoly money, so colleges go, let's double the price. People will pay for it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, people just have been spending more than they made for a long time now and putting it on the tab and going, I'll worry about that later.
You know what's interesting? When I moved to, my dad always had used cars until he started to make some real money. Then he bought a new car, right? But it wasn't for many, many years. He like had that car until he rode it to the last, I guess, mile. And when I moved to LA, I had $1 million in my account already. By the time I moved to LA, I don't know, 12 years ago, I had built this marketing company up before the podcast. I wasn't like mega millionaire, but I had $1 million in the account of net worth, right? And I came here and everyone had these flashy cars. And I was like, I just don't feel the need to try to live up to some standard in Los Angeles. And I got this car for $4,000 that I drove for the first 5 years that I lived here. And the only reason I got a new car was really for like a tax break and to like, you know, write off on taxes. But this was a 1997 year car.
Wow.
And I drove it around for 5 years happy. It didn't have Bluetooth. It didn't have like, it had a CD player. And I'm like,
that's all you need?
That's all I needed. And the radio didn't work. But it was like, I don't need some fancy car to feel like.
Well, you weren't trying to flex.
I wasn't trying to.
You were focused on what was ahead of you instead of who the people around you.
Exactly. And it was good enough. It got me around. You know, eventually I was like, okay, it's time to like upgrade, but not because I felt like I needed to impress, but because I wanted it.
Hope is a choice. And for me, it was the hardest choice. Because I was the guy who was cynical. When I graduated college, I was 23, 40 grand in consumer debt, and I was angry at the world. I was like,